Yeah, welcome to part two of this modelling the Spetsnaz Russian helmet request for Patrick Bateman. So basically, from the end of part one, I just brought in the meshes we'd created, gauzeed them across, and just added a few details in here, added some edge loops, and tidied it up basically, and just did a quick test render just to see what it was looking like. And also just added this little proxy sort of pivot and some animation, and just so you know I can see how the helmet's working when it's lowered and raised. So as I said, I just added in some extra edge loops on the inside here, on the outside. From the reference there on the plastic glass, or whatever it is, acrylic or plexiglass or whatever, just adds more visual interest as well. As you can see here in the render, when these solid meshes, basic glass shader on them, when they refract through each other, like, it just gives interesting reflections as well. So that's all I did really, as I say. Nothing much else from the first one. I just added in a couple of edge loops here to tighten up these corners as well, and edge loops here, control edges, basically basic control edges, just to tighten everything up when it's subdivided. I could have added these in ZBrush, but it's no big deal. It's either. It doesn't really matter for this project, because I'm jumping back and forwards. So for the next part, I'm just going to model this part here. This mechanism part, and for this I'm going to jump back to ZBrush again and use the same techniques as slice curve. As with anything I keep talking about, there's many different ways to model all these things. I could have modeled this with spline shapes here. Could have poly modeled it, edge extrusion, box modeled it, but I'm just going to use this technique, same technique again, ZBrush. So I've just duplicated the helmet, and I'm just going to draw a rough mask around the part that we want to keep, and Control W to give it its own polygroup, and Control Shift click on that polygroup, get rid of everything else, delete hidden. Just delete those subdivisions and delete hidden. And now if I zoom in a bit here, I'm just going to give it a different color polygroup so we can see a bit better. I'm going to just chop around it with slice curve, but first I haven't done that mask big enough, so I'll just bring it out a bit more. That should do it there. So Control click, Shift click on that, delete hidden, delete lower, delete hidden, and we'll grab our trusty slice curve. So same again, just press and tap and Alt for a curve, and then you can double tap Alt for an angle. So I'll extrude those other bits out. So I'm just going to chop that straight down, and we grab that, delete hidden, turn off the floor, and Z remesh, and that's about as good as we get there. So I'm just going to half that, and perfect. That's all we want. So now I'll turn the floor back on, and we'll have a look and see if we want to add in some edge loops, maybe just for the centers of those circles. So for these ones here, I'll probably just go to slide point, lower the size of the brush, and I'm just gonna slide these into position rather than adding more edge loops. For this one, there. What I might do actually is no, actually I'll just I'm just gonna pull these edge loops into position here, and then we can just, it's quite difficult to see there what's going on. Might just add one more in there. Slide those into position. Yeah, sorry about the difficult, I'm sure it is to see, but I'll have to just soldier on. Let's see what we have here. So as I talk about in some other videos there, I always try to use the topology that I have first. Whether it's hard surface creation or sculpting, I'll try to use the topology I have first, and only add topology then when I really need extra. If I can't get the forms or the shapes I need with the topology I have, then I'll add more in. So I'm just moving some of these out of the way, make it a bit bigger there, and get that into the center, just to get these prepared for using the split tool. And that's what I'll do there now, split and split out for that screw, and the same with this one, just click to repeat the last, and then I can just tag these ones and turn off that floor. And I want to inset these, so inset region, and you can leave it on single poly, just inset that, and then we're pretty much just go back to slide point. We can pretty much just take this back into max. Just want to drop the size down, drop it right down, so we're not affecting the other neighboring verts, and that should do the trick. Spread these out a bit, and yeah, that's pretty much, that's, you know, as simple as it is. We can now bring this back into max, and cut our holes in that. We could do it here as well, as I said before, but might as well just do it in max. Okay, I'll pause it and jump back to max. So it goes out across, and now I can just select these polys we don't want, and just delete them, and extrude out the back part then. So I can just shift drag out to here, and I'll probably just I'm not too sure how this is shaped out, but I'll probably just wing it. In fact, I will just wing it. So I like this method of modeling. It's a method I've been using for a long time. Just shift dragging edges, and then shell, modifier, and then turbo smooth. So shell. We just want to see what sort of thickness you want to give this. Maybe just give it a little bit more, not too much. Give it a bit of inner so it doesn't collapse on itself, and I just want to first delete that part there. I can add the symmetry then, and I'll just shift A to quick align, and bring it in there into the left view, and just get it into position roughly. Too sure about the size. So I can see there that it's going to be those holes are kind of just barely over the, make it a little bit smaller, and about there I'd say. I'll just bring it back in, and you can see the reason you know, I created it from the helmet was because we automatically have that shape of the helmet rather than trying to form it to the shape. Yeah, and that's not too bad there. So now I'll just shape it out a little bit more. I'm probably going to just before we collapse that shell, I think I'd like to scale some of these verts down just to round that out a little bit more. Looks a little bit rounder on the reference there. And we can add the shell. I'll just give it 2 segments and put the turbo smooth on. I'll collapse it, and then so that's not too bad there. Just need to add some support loops and also shape this out a little bit better. So I'm going to go in there and back down to the shell, drop the segments because I like to just collapse it, and then add in those myself with a swift loop. So I'll just add these in here. These support loops. And I'm going to add one here, and then across the top, across the front of this, and anywhere else you want to just tighten up the detail. And so let's have a look at that. So that's a bit tighter. And then with the turbo smooth still on, you can come in here and show end result and just tidy some of this stuff up here. Just a little bit of manual tweaking. And you know, you don't mind doing this stuff because the piece is so quick to create in ZBrush using the slice curve method. So, you know, a bit of manual tweaking isn't too bad. And then what we could do as well is turn on the isoline display. You know, you could take some of this geometry here and probably not that piece. You could take some of this and then just shift drag it to its own object. And then I'll just extrude out once, twice, and give it another one. And you know, this I'm going to add some more support loops, but just to, you know, get the idea, just add some visual interest. So if I add some support loops here just to get rid of the doughiness. Now I'm probably going to make this piece properly again, but this is just to you know, to give you an idea of what you could do, you know. So if I just readjust some of this and grab these, extrude them out, and just add a few more support loops in there. You know, obviously I'd do that properly for a finished piece, but I'll probably tweak that piece then off camera, and see what we get then. Right, so I'm back again after a bit of tweaking. Not me finest work, to say the least, but you know, gets the job done for the piece we need. So next is just to put these couple of screws in. So a quick way to do that is just to jump back to ZBrush. We have this piece here, and just use this as a surface then to draw on. So we'll have them lined up, nicely lined up. So we need a couple of different bits, so I'm just going to use insert brushes. There's no point in reinventing the wheel every time. So we need a couple of Phillips screws for here. One there and one there. And you can turn off solo if you don't want to, everything to disappear when you're let me see, I'm just going to hide that. Everything disappear when you're drawing out your insert brushes. And plus another thing you can do is whatever size your brush is going to be the size. If I drag out the insert brush, if I drag out the insert brush and that Phillips screw again, if I start dragging it out and hold down control, it'll snap to the size of my brush. The outer fall off of the brush, so you can use that as a guide just to bring this down a bit and start dragging and control. Start dragging and control. And then one other thing we need is one of these Phillips bits. So choose any of these, or sorry, these flathead bits. So I'll go with this one. Probably looks the most true to the one on the that I can see on the ref. So I'll just draw this out anywhere, and it's going to be on the surface normal then. And then we can just clear that mask and grab these, split hidden, go to that sub tool. Oh, I got that there as well. Solo that out. I'll probably just drag these because I'll turn off symmetry, drag them, get rid of them, delete hidden. I'll use the symmetry modifier max, and then we can just go Z back again, and I'm gonna just shift A and just center them up there. Remember, I scaled that and moved it around, so these won't be in exactly the right spot, but if I scale them, they should work out pretty good. So I'm just gonna center the pivot and go into the left view, and just get this one lined up pretty much in the center. And they should all be I'm just going to hide this. They should be pretty much bang on with the surface. And and move this around a bit, so it's not a big deal. Just going to unhide all. And what happened? Oh yeah, I think Go Z. Sorry, I'm just going to have to. It overwrote that tool there, so I just had to undo a couple of times. You can duplicate before you go Z, just to make sure you don't do that. So just bear that in mind. So I'll grab them again. Center the pivot. Shift A. And I'll just scale them up. Go to the left view. And we can just line them up. There's going to be a little bit of messing about here, but it's no big deal. As I say, you can jump back and forth between this and ZBrush, or you could have just took the tools you wanted, or I'm doing a lot of this. I have a bit of time off from work today, so I got a chance to do it. So I am rushing through it a bit, and not really going in depth as much as I usually do, I'm afraid. Talking as much, but that's okay, isn't it? Probably a lot better, says people. So I'm just gonna solder that out, and I just want to get rid of these on the back. So I'll just grab this face here and this one. Or the quickest way to do it actually is just to select those rings, delete them, and then just go to element mode and delete them. We don't need any of them. And then I'll probably just add in an edge loop there, tighten that up, and maybe one here and one here. And we'll see how that is first before I add any more. Yeah, so I'm gonna have to add one in here and in here, and probably here and here as well. And that should do it. Yep, that's pretty good. You can change that then. Change any of these. Size them up so they're more appropriately scaled. We bring that one out a bit. And that's pretty good. Right, so we'll go with that. Next part now. This is going to be a quick part to create. Just going to go back down to the base of this, and what we're doing now is just looking for this front part that comes off the helmet. So I'm just going to select that ring, detach as a clone, and I'm going to have to copy and paste that FFD. And select all them, extrude by local normal, and that FFD is messing it up a bit. Sorry, I'm just going to collapse that, collapse to editable poly, and try that again. Extrude, local normal, zero it out, and give it a bit of thickness. There's a couple of different styles of this helmet. I think there's a kind of a sharper one with this part here. It's sharper kind of a corners on it. So you can choose whatever one you prefer. So we'll just have a look now. This will be a softer kind of an edge on it. And yeah, so that's nearly everything done. It's just a couple of screws to go in down here. So for that, I can just do the same thing. I'll probably just yeah, I'll just clone this and then just select the clone, get rid of the turbo smooth and the symmetry, and then we can just come in here and I clone this because I'm going to use this as a template to create these screws off. Back in ZBrush again, so I'll show you that now. Just invert that and delete everything else and just select these borders here and I'll just cap them. So just so we have a surface to work off in ZBrush, and cozy that back across, and we'll select these again. I might actually, there's washers on these, so I'm going to put look for something for washers. We could probably just use yeah, I'll probably just we can use a tube if you can't find anything. Let me see, tube, just use ring 3D and then come down to initialize, and I'll just drop these, the divide down, just drop that down to 4, twist it 90, twist it, sorry, just twist it around there. Let me see, drop this down as well, because we'll be subdividing it, maybe put that to 18. And let me see, drop the, I can sort out the rest then. Just bring it in like that. And make polymesh 3D. And just grab the clip curve. And we'll just clip it down. And line it up there in your view. Let me see, with Z, forward and brush, create insert mesh, new, and then back to, where was it, back to here. I'm just going to turn off that floor, and now we can use that newly created brush, and because we aligned the view, worked out perfect. So I'm just going to make that slightly bigger than the hole because it's a washer, and start dragging it, hold down control. Now if I turn on double, you can see that's big enough as a washer to be over the hole, and then I can do the same, hold control, and because we set the brush size up and hold control, it's going to be exactly the same. And then I'm going to want to BI model kit M and select our Phillips. And let's see what size. So I'll start dragging it. Obviously you have to drop the brush size down just slightly smaller than the washer, and start dragging, and same here. And now I'll probably just grab the move transpose, and I'll just click, just drag that out of the way, control click, just going to unmask everything, control click and then shift middle circle, just drag it out past the washer, control click, shift and drag, and I can probably just center that up there. And the same with this one, control click and middle circle, shift and drag. I think they might have been the same poly group. Yeah, they were the same poly group, so I'll just auto groups. That one's okay. And now I have to do this one again, clear the mask, control click, shift click in the middle circle, and there, that's pretty good. So we can take them back across now. Because we used that template, they'll be in the exactly the right spot. So if I stick a turbo smooth in them, you know, they're not really set up for turbo smoothing. So you know, you'd have to well, suppose we could not turbo smooth them and just take these washers and attach them as their own object, select them, turbo smooth, and I'll just give them some edge loops to tighten up those edges. Thing as well about a lot of these tools, you know, they've back facing on them, these insert brushes, so in this case I want to keep that, because you might see it through the refraction on the visor, because obviously it's transparent. But for the screws here and other bits and bobs, as I did in the last one, you can just delete the back face and stuff. So those bits came in as well, so it's easy to sort out. They were the bits off the other tool, we didn't delete them. And I'll just grow that selection and yeah, leave it at that. Delete, and just delete these elements. So for these screws, you can see there's a lot of triangles and stuff on them. As I say, not ideal, certainly not ideal for subdividing. So you can make your own even, or just try to hack it a bit here by adding in a few edge loops. Certainly not ideal, but you know, they're at a bit of a distance. But if I was doing this as a proper kind of an asset, I'd definitely use a screw that was suitable to subdividing, or else just as I said earlier, just don't divide it, or use something else. So we would want to put these on the other side as well. So you don't want to clone them and flip them around and place them here. It doesn't have to be screws, it can just be a cylinder shape. So one quick way to do that, I suppose, is just to grab a cylinder. I'm just going to isolate that. Just grab a cylinder and auto grid. And let me see, 18 is okay. Or maybe actually just put this up to something higher and not subdivide it, because it won't really be seen. I'll just bring the radius up, and then we can move it locally. Bring the height down. Yeah, and that should work there as a quick sort of way of doing it. And I can just drag another one out here. And another one here. And sorry, I'm just gonna be fussy and just copy that, copy the height, paste it in there, copy the radius, and paste it in there, and paste it. Keep hitting Control C instead of Control V. Copy, paste, copy, paste, and then just move them over the holes. And yeah, that's pretty much it there. So last thing you'd want to do is we can just turn on the pivot, working pivot, and just grab all these one by one, and just hit a symmetry mod onto them. I just need to flip that, and just going to back up a bit there. I forgot to flip this. Symmetry, flip, symmetry, flip. And then if I just grab these and attach these, they'll automatically get the symmetry. And be on the other side. When I go up to the symmetries at the top of the stack. Yeah, so I think that's let me see. Yeah, just need to put symmetry modifiers in these as well. Just do them one at a time. Flip, symmetry, flip, and symmetry, flip, and there is our Spetsnaz helmet. There's one more thing you could do at the very end then. If you just select everything except the head, and you can put a global FFD box or any of the FFD modifiers on, and use that then. If you wanted to make any tweaks, just turn off the working pivot. Yeah, if you wanted to make any tweaks, minor tweaks, you don't want to be going too crazy with the FFDs because you can skew skew the geometry. You know, I could grab, scale it, and bring it out, or bring the ends up if it seemed too long. As I say, you don't want to see, especially these circular details, you don't want to go too heavy-handed on it. You see there, you can just turn off the modifier then. So I think that brings us to the end. I'm rushing a bit towards the end here, but no pun intended. The likes of them, like, I would have spent obviously more time on them and put proper screws in here, but for the sake of the demonstration, I think you get the idea. And then one other thing you might want to do at the very end is if I just unhide all and grab these, link them to that, grab the washers, and we already have our animation set up, so that is that. And hopefully this one was Patrick Bateman, you requested it. Hopefully this helped you in some way towards your creation of the same helmet. Alright then, cheers, thanks, good luck.